Everything in this world requires discipline. So what is discipline? I found on the internet that discipline is practice of training people to obey rule or code of behavior, using punishment to correct disobedience. With this being said, does this definition sound familiar to you? Because of the principle of using punishment to correct disobedience sound really familiar to me. The reason for this is because my childhood, and it could also be your childhood too. What do I mean by our childhood? A childhood for me is 18 years old and under. I have to explain this because many people think that the people who are still in their 20s are still children. Now, why would they think of such a thing? The reason why they think this is the case because of lack of experience and lack of maturity. The first reason is lack of experience. When I am talking about experience is when I am talking about life lessons. When someone knows a lot about life lessons, they have to learn from somewhere. However, where do they learn it from? As far as I know, there are two types of learning: the book smart learning and the street smart learning. You might have heard it from somewhere in the past. The iconic battle of book smart and street smart learning. What did this actually mean when comparing book smart and street smart learning? The summarized definition of this is just the difference of environment. Whether you are book smart and street smart learning, you still learn something that is useful in life. Some people think that street smart is better than book smart because they have in-field practice and real-life experience. This is actually somewhat true, however, this is not the entire story behind this study. Book smart might indeed be lacking behind when it comes to real-life experience because they are learning through lecture and books. However, they do have a lot of information that most street smart people never get the chance to learn. Most of that information is through books. What are these informational books, you may ask? These books are lived experience that famous and successful people go through in the past. Now, they will write about their experience to leave behind a legacy to the next generation to live a better and more successful life than they ever have. These authors are called mentor. The actual definition of mentor is a lived experience and trusted advisor. These mentors have created blueprint for how to be successful in life. These blueprint and lifestyle rules that range from how to be rich to how to be happy. Going back comparing book smart and street smart, it doesn't mean that street smart does not have a mentor. Actually, it's essential that they should have a mentor in the field. The reason why everyone should have a mentor because they are learning from the past experiences. There's a famous saying, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Why is the saying important at this moment? The reason for this is because mentor is a practical example of history that's related to the students. They want to share the mistakes that they have made in the past so the new generation can avoid the mistake and save a lot of time and money. So going back to the idea of street smart and book smart, what do I believe is better? I believe you need both in life. The reason for this is because I am performing and learning from both styles right now. First, why I am following the style of street smart learning? I know street smart skills to join the military. How does military suit the idea of street smart learning? When a serviceman and woman join the military, they need to pick a MOS or military vocational specialty. MOS is duty or the latest group of duty that a soldier by training, skills, and experience is best qualified to perform and is basis for the classification, assignment, and advancement of enlisted personnel. When I joined back in 2022, I signed up to be an all-wheel mechanic. This is the reason why the military teaches you a lot about skill smart learning. When I am in the military, I am trained to be flexible and to know how to survive on my own. However, the most important thing that I learned from the army is discipline. As I was stated before, discipline is when we obey the rules or the code of conduct that was set by ourselves or other. The military is well known for their discipline and obedience. Therefore, I am lucky to be part of such a great organization. With this being said, why is discipline and obedience two of the most essential things in the military? The most simple answer out of the bunch is that the military prioritizes only one thing. The single thing is how effective the organization can be while they are fighting for their life and for the nation's future. One important thing to point out is that the army motto is "This real defend." When the army state this, they are really serious about it. As a soldier, we will defend this country with all our strength. However, how will we defend this nation if we have no strength to begin with? This is where discipline is the key. When people think about the military, they will think about how huge weapon and machinery that they will win the war with. Well, who will operate them all? The servicemen and women. This machine are so dangerous. These men and women need to know what they're doing. They need to have the physical and mental strength to be able to perform the best as they can. One example of this is the army slogan, "Be all you can be." Now we have the answer for why we need the strength. However, what about how to gain the strength that the service personnel and military as a whole need to defend this country? The answer, as I said before, is discipline and obedience. The slogan, "Be all you can be," is easier said than done. The saying is all about self-improvement, is reaching for the new milestone. Improving oneself and reaching new milestone will take time. That is where we need to be patient. Being patient is when we can accept or tolerate delay, problem, or suffering without being annoyed or anxious. This is the definition of what being patient really is. However, I do not follow this definition. The reason for this is that the definition makes it sound like the individual is holding the problem and suffering inside. This is never a good thing. In fact, this is a dangerous thing to do. The reason why it's so dangerous to hold suffering in is because it snowballs into something much bigger. The most bigger thing can be depression, a much more dangerous extreme emotion. How do we fix this? We need to let it out instead of holding it in. How do we let it out? This is where book smart learning shows its specialty. That specialty is gathering information. I have talked about information, but what is information? Information is facts provided or learned about something or someone. This is the definition of what information is. However, where do we get this information is a real question. We get information through books and lecture. Remember what I said before. Books are legacy left behind by mentor. One example of what I have learned from one of the books is called the compound effect. Compound effect, from what I have learned, is a result and consequence of terrible everyday choice and habit that compound over time. This is the reason why I never hold any problem or emotion in, so it will turn into something much worse in the future. When people are holding problems and emotion inside of them, they will start to cope. How do they cope? One of the most well-known ways to cope is through substance. The consequences of taking drugs are proven to be very damaging based on decades of research. One example of this is homelessness. The causation of homelessness is very vast. However, one of the top reasons is when the individual use drugs until they are completely broke and cannot work anymore. This is also an example of compound effect happening in real life. Some people may ask, why is this information important to us when we do not use drugs and we are very hard worker? This is true, but there is one thing that we need to be considered. This one thing is addiction. The truth about addiction is that it doesn't have to be drugs that people get addicted to. Why is addiction so bad? Let's give an example, shall we? One of the most well-known addiction, of course, is drug. One of the most infamous drugs that is legal everywhere in the world is alcohol. The real-life problem of becoming an alcoholic is really discerning around the world, as something leads to physical abuse and much worse. What about non-drug related addiction study? I think one of the most overlooked addiction is food. The power of the compound effect will go hands in hand with this addiction. According to Healthline.com, it's estimated that little over 42% of American adults have obesity, while about 30.7% are overweight. Overall, more than 2/3 US adults in the United States are overweight or have obesity. With this being said, what is the right way to fix this problem? The right way to fix this problem is through discipline. How is discipline so important when it comes to food? The reason for this is because of fitness and dieting. As a soldier and an athlete, I will have to watch my training and dieting a lot to be stronger, faster, and endure longer. The only way to achieve this is through book smart learning. Learning from books, videos, and from the internet. Many videos on the internet, especially on YouTube, will teach us about fitness. However, you have to do research. Many of the video might not be valuable and trustworthy compared to other video. This is where book smart learning shine. They are trained to do their research better than street smart learning individual. The reason for this is that resources are so limited. So what do I believe is better? Street smart or book smart learning? The answer is both are essential in real life. The reason for this is discipline. We need to be disciplined enough to do the hard work. Meanwhile, be disciplined enough to know what is right from wrong through research. According to Navy SEAL War hero officer Jocko Willem, discipline equals freedom.